We put these mostly sheep. We also have some goats in here. In this paddock here, this is one of the predominant vegetations right here. This is what people have been calling silver willow. Other people might, I think wolf willow was another term I heard. We've got grass down on the bottom here. And then what we also have is another plant that is called snowberry. If you take a bite of this snowberry plant, put that in your mouth, that has a real bitter aftertaste, which sort of indicates that might be some tannins in there. We did a search last night to see if we could come up with what the secondary compound is in snowberry, but we weren't able to find it. But it does have some nutrition, and it is a plant that it seems like they're starting to kind of learn how to eat. I think because maybe they've gotten a little bit sick of eating the willow, and the sheep have been preferring the grass, but they also are hitting the willow as well. One of the things, if you go to a website called behave.net, they've done a lot of work on sort of the behavior of animals, especially related to grazing. There is a couple of concepts in there. There's a concept of satiation, and all that means is that if I'm always going to be eating something that I really love to eat, like say ice cream. If I had ice cream morning, noon, and night, I would get to a point where I was sick of ice cream, and so I would want to switch to something else that might be totally different. So maybe part of the reason they're driving to eat some of the snowberry is they're a little sick of the willow, a little bit sick of the grass, wanting to try something different, maybe a little lower quality vegetation to balance out a higher quality vegetation. And that's where this whole concept of having multi-species, which could be cattle and goats, or cattle and sheep, or at times maybe you've got all three together, is they all have different forage preferences. Cattle, it's not that they won't eat some brush, but they will prefer grass. If we talk about sheep, they're going to be kind of in the middle, eating both our forbs and brush and also our grass. And then our goats, what they're going to do is they're going to get this kind of stuff first, and then it's not that they won't eat grass, but they will go to grass a lot later. So what that allows us to do is to actually, in a way, run more stocking rate on our land, because, for example, the goats and the cattle are preferentially grazing on different kinds of species, and so as a result, they're not competing with each other for forage. Another benefit of the multi-species grazing, if you've got a bunch of brush starting to encroach on your properties, is they now, because they are impacting the brush plants, they open up the canopy. Now sunlight can get all the way down to the ground, and now we have a bit more grasses growing. So utilizing the goat may actually create more grass for your cattle. So there's a lot of benefits to utilizing multi-species grazing, and maybe part of it may be, maybe you don't want to hassle with raising a small ruminant, but maybe there's somebody in your area that they would love to come on for that extra feed resource, and if they'll handle the management for you, then maybe there's a way to work out an agreement that becomes a win-win for both parties, but it would be a way to increase the productivity of your properties. Okay, so we're coming back and talking about snowberry, and I had put a leaf in my mouth here, and you may not want to do this at home, but it's not going to hurt you. I put that in there. Oh, and now I get this bitter aftertaste. See, I'm getting a feedback loop that's telling me, that tastes like yuck. And so because that's a bitter taste, I'm suspecting that this plant may have some tannins in there. But I don't know this for a fact. There is a person in North Dakota that has done some pretty extensive work on snowberry, and it is not real high in protein. Digestibility is kind of moderate to low. But nothing on secondary compounds, and maybe some work has been done that I just haven't accessed yet, but that would be a question that I would have as far as understanding what's the secondary compound in here, because tannins as one example of a toxin. Terpenes would be another, alkaloids would be another, and there's many others beside that, but we'll just use those as three common ones. Most plants contain toxins, but they're not toxins that are going to be harmful to the animals or to us, but they help regulate intake on the plant. It's like a defense mechanism for the plant. There are a few plants that are toxic, or plants that could be toxic at certain times of the year and not at other times of the year, but it's just important to understand that in addition to the normal nutritional analysis that we would do on protein, energy, minerals, those types of things, we also need information on a seasonal basis on these secondary compounds, because they will regulate when an animal may be coming in here to eat a plant and when an animal may not want to be eating a plant. So we have so much emphasis right now on whether that's leafy spurge, or you pick whatever is your targeted plant that you want to try and get rid of, in order to make that work and balanced out among all the many other things that we have to take out into account in grazing. If we understand those secondary compounds, it maybe opens another window of knowledge to help us be a more effective at what we're trying to do. I feel like that on these brush plants, that's a whole new frontier of research that needs to occur, as far as not only getting better or more nutritional information on these plants on a seasonal basis, but also on these secondary compounds as well. That knowledge, combined with grazing experiences that have occurred on the plants, could be combined to help us, I think, take a quantum leap forward on the things that we could accomplish with grazing and browsing as a tool.